Peace on Earth. Ethan Indigo Smith here. The Hermetics of Tao, Part 6. Cause and Effect, or Consequentialism, or Karma. For every action, there is an reaction, as the phrase goes, but there's a result, right? Let's use that word because often enough we get caught up in a whole series of reactions that are detrimental and we excuse ourselves for. In fact, the very word react, it denotes being fake, being an actor, as if all the world is a stage and we're just succumbing to the uh, causes and going through effects that are act or react and act again. So for every action, there is a result. Um, this is a very big lesson for what is a juvenile minded world, that you are the results of what you do. We are not the results of what we think. We are the results of what we do. Whenever there's a problem today, it is likely due to what was happening yesterday. uh, of course, we realize that, but we like to make excuses that it's some other thing. To be silly, when people say the energy is really off today, right? It's got to be this, it's got to be that. Well, the energy is always going off. And if you're not steady from perhaps what you did yesterday, then your today is going to be more easily swayed and thrown off balance. All right, so there's a quote I want to use to rectify how poorly we really consider the lesson of consequence. Uh, there's the occultist expression, do as thou wilt. Aleister Crowley said it. And people use that to really operate in a format where they've foregone consideration of consequence. And this expression is now used to inspire others to proceed with their wants despite the inevitable consequences of poor actions yesterday that influence our today. Do as thou wilt. So this is really a new age BS type of thing that's been taken out of concept and used for really negative being. Now compare that to another expression from Tibet. If you have the impulse, go for it. It's about the same idea. The initial response when I heard this expression from such a wise culture, I didn't get it. Why would they say that? If you have an impulse, go for it. Well, the reason is because they consider consequence. It is a culture and a time, from a culture and a time and a lifestyle where consequentialism must be considered, not in a time and a place where we've really erected all kinds of institutions to forego consideration of consequentialism. If you have the impulse, go for it. One is supposed to learn. If you have the impulse to touch the flame, one will learn not to do that again. And we should proceed with this idea that these concepts are there to help us progress, not excuse us to be basic and gross. So, do as thou wilt is synonymous with if you have an impulse, go for it, because one is supposed to learn through taking on poor decision making. One learns, I will not touch that fire again. I realize that fire is a tool that can hurt me, and I want to use it proficiently to help me and others rather than to burn myself and others, right? So the world today is really based on an assortment of institutions and uh, uh, directions, situational directions that really have us on on a whole path that refuses to address our responsibility to our today from what we did yesterday on a whole collective level, right? And also personally. So consider those ideas, those phrases, and the idea behind them, that one should understand through impulses, not act as if there is no consequence and one is above it. That is the epitome, potentially, of ignorance, and even more so, eventually, evil. So, refusing to take responsibility for one's actions is synonymous with the misinterpretation of do as thou wilt. Because if you're here long enough, what thou wilt should be uh, in embodied with wisdom and knowledge of consequentialism, that you should not want or will something that is going to burn you and your fellow folks. So, peace on earth, be well.